let's start. I'm here with Josh, this amazing gallery in New Orleans. This is your third location?
Well, it's probably one, two, three, four, five, fifth location.
Okay. They've all been in
New Orleans always.
all in the French Quarter?
I started up on Magazine Street
Mm-hmm.
out of a small little house originally in 1975. And in 1980, I moved down the street, then I moved across the street, and then in 1989, I moved to the French Quarter. I had two places in Royal Street, and then I came over here 25 years ago.
Okay. And there's a move in the future? Where's the next spot?
The next spot is at 7457 St. Charles Avenue,
Okay.
right on the streetcars.
All right. We'll have to have everybody visit.
Yes.
And 75 was an amazing moment in photography, but not a time that a lot of people were stepping in to be gallerists.
No.
So what drove you to that?
Well, I'm a photographer, and my first photographs I ever took were bought by Dominique and John Demonil in Houston, Texas.
Oh,
And I was still at Rice University, and I just was absorbed into photography immediately, full time, because she bought my photographs. It just opened my eyes up to the whole bigger world of it. And by the time I graduated from Rice, I had a master's degree in accounting and an undergraduate degree in economics. I decided I want to open a gallery to keep the attention off of me so I could just photograph.
okay. And did you have access to, I know, let me put it this way, I know it was easier to meet people back in 75, photographers and others, but how did you decide who to collect, who to show, and who to sell it to? I mean, you had to be one of the first.
I was in the top five of the first. You know, there was in New York, LA, Chicago, and me. You know, I think there was also one in Toronto.
Okay.
But yes, it was a very big deal. I decided on who I would show, who would answer me, who would talk to me.
Okay.
And Ansel Adams was one of the first. He answered the phone.
Really?
He picked up the phone when I called. So those were the days. You know, you didn't have internet and things. You had a phone,
Yeah.
and that's how it worked. I studied history of photography really avidly in my last 2 years of Rice and coming out of Rice. And I was teaching photography a little bit, and when I opened a gallery, I kind of knew what I wanted in the greatness. So it took about 5 months, but Ansel agreed. And that was a turning point in my whole art career.
And that gave you the credibility to go to other artists and say, I'm showing Ansel, will you come in?
Yeah. I mean, I followed that up immediately with a show by Edward Sheriff Curtis of the North American Indians,
Well,
Lewis Hine, Versailles. I mean, it just, Walker Evans. It really opened up for me. I had great contacts in New York and Washington, D.C. with Harry Lunn, who was a major art dealer.
yeah, yeah.
And he really liked what I was doing. He would loan me anything he had. Robert Frank, you name it.
That's amazing.
It was amazing.
Really?
Yes.
What an education.
It was a fast education. It was great. And meanwhile, I was still photographing. So I was able to keep the attention off my own work, and I could just concentrate on these people on a public basis.
Right. And were these some of the first exhibitions of these photographers? I mean, in a commercial gallery setting?
You know, I couldn't, I think Ansel Adams had a long career,
Sure.
and so he'd been shown in a lot of places, but there couldn't, all those five other galleries probably had shown him, but yeah, I would say it's very early, very
Yeah.
early.
And even the Hines and Curtis,
Hines.
some of those had to be some of the first times.
I agree on that because, I mean, Curtis I got from another art dealer out in L.A., and he had shown him, but it was just happening. It was all so new. It was really new. Edward Curtis was so hidden, really, for years, and it just started to come out in the 1970s and into the 80s.
Right. Have you seen a number of photographers emerge who perhaps you considered great but didn't have any kind of traction in the commercial space?
That's a good question. I don't know if I could answer it because I like such famous people, I guess. I think they had been, you know, the major museums were starting to show them. They had them in their collections. I mean, the New York museums had these people in their collections.
Right.
But I got to show Arbus. I mean, it was extraordinary. I try to keep a little bit of everybody up that I've ever shown. but I don't quite. That's why I got so many cabinets. I've got over 3,000 original photographs here,
That's amazing.
and just about anybody you name, just about. I even have a Man Ray. But,
Really?
Yeah, but you know, there's gaps, of course, because
The
you can't have
impossible.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And did you show Newton? I saw the Newtons
Oh
in the
yeah,
hallway.
Helmut Newton and I became good friends. I felt in the 1990s he had 4 shows here before he died,
Wow.
and he came over for 3 of them, so it was really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a great person. Helmut was really much more laid back than most people thought. His wife was real
I
outgoing.
was gonna say June.
June,
She was the
she was the pusher.
Right.
She was real strong. But Helmut was very quiet. Whenever we went out to eat, he was quiet. But June would be going, "Hey, look at that. You want to photograph her?" And she'd go over and ask him and come back.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
No, he was an amazing guy. He really was.
Huh.
And I was really grateful to have his photographs. And by then it was the 1990s. I think 94 was my first show of his. And he died in 2001, 2, somewhere in there.
Yeah, and his work was enormously popular in the 90s.
Yes.
I mean, he created great work all the way through, but it
really,
hit in the 90s.
yes. But he kept his editions very small. Actually, I was surprised. There were editions of 10 plus 3 big ones, the 3 that could be made big.
Right.
And he never finished the editions of 10.
Really?
He only printed as he sold them.
I love
Maybe
it.
one more, which I found kind of universally in photography. Those that have done editions
Right.
have rarely done the whole edition and just put them in a drawer and wait to sell them. Karsh did, because he knew he could sell all 100. But most of them didn't.
Oh,
Even to
that's
this date,
interesting.
even these days, I mean, I work with people right now that are great people, and they set an edition number, but they don't print all 45. The editions are much smaller. They're 45 and 30 and so
Right.
on, but they don't print them all.
Well, an edition now of 30 or 45 is large,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
An edition of 7 or 10 and even 3 is more normal for
Yes.
some people.
Yes, it
Right.
is.
And has that helped photography hold value? The smaller editions? Has it made it a little more desirable? What has been the effect?
That's a loaded question because you take an Ansel Adams, his Moonrise over Hernandez.
Right.
There's over 1,000 examples that he made
Oh,
and signed and put out,
right,
and yet it sells for $100,000 plus.
right, right.
So, like the Ansel Adams I have here right now, I only made 6 of. It's one of the larger versions of Moonrise over Hernandez, but there were only 6 made. 2 of them went down on fire. 4. There's
Wow.
1 here. 3. I'm not sure where the other 3 are. I'm still looking, but
Amazing.
yeah. So that's kind of a counterintuitive actually to quantity in photography. Because if it's a great photograph and everybody wants to have it, suddenly 100 of it is not very many.
And do you find that more with people of Ansel's generation or the 80s or 90s than photographers now? Do you think a photographer now would have a harder time selling 100?
Maybe not a harder time, but they're keeping much smaller editions.
Okay.
And one golden rule in my gallery has always been I don't work with anybody that breaks the rules.
Yeah.
If they say it's going to be an edition of 45 and they finish it and they start to issue some different size or something, the next day I'm shipping them back their work. It's
Yeah.
only happened once or twice in my history, but I don't want to. I think you got to stick by your rule that you set for everybody because it's a small world, as you know.
It's a small business, and I tell people, and I don't think they understand, it's a business built on trust. If the photographer tells you they're 45 and you tell the collector they're 45, everybody just believes everybody. That's the credibility of the realm.
I agree 100% on that,
right?
and that's all I've ever experienced. I've never had a written agreement with any artist.
Okay,
It's always been a verbal and a handshake.
that's great.
Yeah.
That's
In
amazing.
fact, a couple of younger artists recently have wanted me to sign something. I said no, and then so they didn't want to do business with me. So I said okay.
Huh. That's incredible.
It's pretty incredible that I haven't had to have a signed contract, and yet you can name all the major greats I've had. So
Right.
yeah,
And as photography evolved from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, I was first in your gallery, I believe, in 92. So I've seen some of the changes, but what were some of the trends that kind of moved through your space?
Well, I think photography in the 90s really grew up. I mean, price-wise, it became something that, you know, a photographer could actually make a living if they sold their work. Because even in the 70s and 80s, when you sold work, it wasn't selling for tens of thousands of dollars, except for Ansel. But, you know, or Maplethorpe was great too,
Sure.
and did sell for great prices. But there were very few people getting great prices in the early 80s. So when the prices got up there in the 90s, I think photography changed a little bit. Then you got a new round of photographers involved who a lot of them had been painters and picked up the camera. And then they started gigantic prints.
Right.
So the 90s brought around these gigantic prints, often abstract work, sometimes other great work too. I wasn't necessarily attracted to the big photograph that was an abstract image.
Okay. But you had who was the photographer who made the cats, like the color? It was color work. You had it on that wall over there. They were all the brightly colored cats, all the brightly colored animals.
Oh, by Sandy Scola.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sandy's great. Sandy's really great.
And did that shift into color change collecting? Did it change the business?
I think it changed the business, yes, because the people started collecting color. Because color became more permanent. The processes for printing a color photograph improved significantly because it went from dye transfer was probably your most prominent, safe, good way to print a color photograph, but even they weren't guaranteed much beyond 40 plus years.
Right.
And then, I mean, a lot of museums, when they had a special color room that was air conditioned and kept to a certain temperature and they didn't even bring them out hardly.
Right.
So, but anyway, in the 90s, you got as we went up, got closer to digital taking over, which I felt by the end of the 90s, digital really had taken over. They became on a much more permanent ink on paper.
Right.
And so, color prints today, majority of them are made with ink, and so they are very permanent. Not quite as permanent as black and white, but pretty close.
Right. Pigment usually?
Yeah.
Okay.
Archival pigment.
And do you think
Pigment transfer, I think they call it.
can you think a good pigment print can equal a good silver print? Or I'll toss you the question everybody asks.
Well, you know, I'm an old timer, so I just truly love
Oh, I do
silver gelatin.
Yeah.
And there is something about the way they look
Yeah.
that's maybe subtle to some people, but it's obvious to me and probably you.
Oh.
Because you grew up or you used it or you printed with it yourself, you know.
There's a depth to it. I used to, we didn't sell, when I had the gallery, we didn't sell any pigment prints or inkjet. It was only silver or, you know, and
Or
people would say,
platinum.
why? And that's why you have a silver fetish. Like there's just there's something to it. There's a resonance to it, I think, that just hasn't been matched yet.
I love that word. Resonance is the correct word. It's got a really vibrant quality.
Yeah. And there's some gorgeous pigment prints, no doubt, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a different era.
Yeah.
I really feel by the year 2000, photography takes a change. It just as you're younger and you're photographing, it's interesting. Many are in color, whereas when I was starting, many were in black and white.
yeah.
Color was very. Elliot Porter, who I have and had, he did color. He did dye transfer color, which was considered as permanent as you could get. But there just weren't that many people working in color in the 70s and early 80s.
Yeah. And you said price was substantially different in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Well, I mean, it grew because in the 70s, $1,000 was a lot of money. I had the first show of Ansel Adams, they were $500 a piece.
Wow.
Now, I had the last show, they were $500 a piece. They went up after that, after my show. The big honchos that were in charge of Ansel raised the prices. And at the end of the year, end of 1975, they stopped selling Ansel Adams photographs.
Okay.
So that's when they really jumped. By 1978, his Moonrise over Hernandez was $10,000.
Wow.
It was that fast.
That is fast.
Yeah. And it's always kind of led the way. It's been, you know, went to 20 and then went to 30 and then went to 40 and 50, 60. And now it's 100,000.
Right.
If you perfect condition, just like,
Right.
you know,
Right.
you can get things that aren't 100% for less. But
Right.
if you want to make it really great.
And why do you think people like Friedlander or others have had a harder time commanding that?
That high,
Talented, yeah,
yeah.
talented photographers, but that genre has a harder time getting over $2, $3, $4, $5,000.
That's a tough question. I can't really quite answer it, except that, and I hate to keep referring to Ansel Adams, but they were so livable with. They were
okay.
landscapes. They were, you know, they weren't controversial in any way.
Yeah.
Whereas certain Friedlanders have so many things about people going on in them that maybe you don't want to live with. You might think they're the greatest photographs in the world, but do you want to live with it, look at it every day as you walk down your hall? So I don't know if that's a real factor or not, because, but you can fast forward to color in the 90s, now 2000s, they were pretty much landscape or neutral in, not all of them. I mean, Nan Golden, for
Right.
example, is really tough, gritty work,
Right,
but how much is it collected?
right.
So,
Museums,
yeah,
places like that.
yeah.
Personal.
And I've watched the museums grow to where almost every museum collects photography. They have photography. They might not actively collect it, but they have it.
Right.
Whereas way back in the 70s,
Few people, right?
Few.
I mean, what were the landmark exhibitions? Family of Man, and the Avedon exhibition was huge because it ushered in a different kind of photography. And
Yeah. In the 60s, you would have the Museum of Modern Art showing off Arbus and Arbus and Winogrand and Friedlander. But again, they didn't quite kick it into the high collecting field. People collected it, but
yeah,
not like it became. It became a really avid thing for photographer lovers.
yeah,
And now even today, what I struggle with is when people come in. Somebody called me yesterday and they wanted to show me their work. And I said, well, and there's not too much work I really want to look at, frankly, but I'm open. I'll take the time to look at. And he said, it's on my camera. I just took it yesterday. It's really great. I said, on your camera? He said, yeah, my phone. It's a really beautiful picture. I said, have you printed it? He said, oh, no. I said, it's not a photograph until you print it.
that's great.
And I have not heard back from him yet.
I imagine not. A lot of people don't print anymore, but
No.
it changes everything.
Yes, it does.
It's your interpretation.
It is.
Yeah.
And as you know, you can do so much in a dark room with any image.
Yeah.
Any exposure can be changed so much in all directions that the darkroom work is important. You got to have a great moment, a great photograph to begin with.
Right.
But if you have that, you've got to go in a darkroom and produce it on a piece of paper for the world to look at, and what size it is, how big it is, how dark it is, how light it is.
How are
Those
people going to engage with it? What's the
Yeah.
scale?
Yeah.
Right. You were talking about large prints. Newton's large. What was the series
It's called
called? The
Big
women.
Nudes.
Big Nudes, right? I saw that. Those the whole series at ICP. It was stunning,
Yeah.
but it made sense.
Yes.
Right.
For him, it did. It really did.
They weren't just big for the sake of being big.
No, that he was dealing with. There was something about the women he was dealing with too, right?
Strong, self-asserted.
Yeah. And remember, he was making those back in 1980, 85. So it's way ahead of his time to be making big paper like that.
Yeah, I would guess it would have been harder for him to get printed. Only a handful of people could do that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He had to throw the enlarger up on the wall.
I'm not sure how he did it because I think that's how he probably had to do it.
Right?
He did wind up in Monte Carlo to live. I'm not sure if in the early 80s he was already living there or not, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Newton did work. It's interesting. You talk about work that's difficult. Newton did work that would have been difficult for some people to live with,
Absolutely.
but he has
Absolutely.
avid collectors. The prices
Yes,
hold
he
up.
does. He's
right?
very strong in the collecting world. It's interesting, not so much in America, more in Europe.
Makes
He was
sense.
really well known in Europe. And when I was showing him, it was not introducing him for sure. He was a big star. But in America, they just, Jan Sadek out of Czechoslovakia,
Right.
who I fell in love with early on. And I was getting him through a lady in Chicago they were kind of getting him out of Czechoslovakia. He wasn't officially a photographer,
Huh.
He's officially a lithographer or something. He had to work for the state.
Oh,
But
right.
yeah, but when that wall came down in 1989, I was in Czechoslovakia the following summer, and I got to meet Sadek.
Amazing.
Yeah, I
And-
loved his work. The hand painting of black and white photographs.
Gorgeous work.
It's gorgeous.
Right.
It really is. And he tried to do small editions, and he also never finished editions. A couple pictures, but not most of them.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I think that's one of the more interesting things about photography, is that photographers, you're capable of making thousands.
Right.
I mean, physically, as far as the negative or the digital file holding up, it'll hold up.
Right.
But as a photographer, if you really care about your work, you're going to keep it to a smaller amount.
I think so.
Yes.
And I think amateur or people who are just starting to exhibit, they have that one photo they think is their winner. They want to do 400 of those, but they don't understand how it's going to affect the rest of their edition or the rest of their career, or, you know.
It can actually hurt them.
Yeah, for
Yes,
sure.
Yeah.
Or a large sale.
Yeah.
I had a guy who came in. He photographed. He blew them up. I don't know. They must have been 6 feet by 6 feet, and bought 2 of them for 25 grand a piece or 30 grand a piece, and he had a hard time matching that price.
Right. Ever again, right?
Right. So I try to explain to people too. You get that first big sale. Sometimes that price is too high, and you can't really come down because people get upset.
Photographer as an artist, their life is way up and way down.
Yeah.
They may sell a lot all of a sudden, and then it goes dry for too much time.
Yeah.
Because you get used to that, and you use all that money to make more images,
Mm-hmm.
but suddenly no money's coming in.
Right.
So only a few photographers, in my opinion, really get a long, stable journey through the money making of photography.
And that's because they're better business people or more consistent image makers, or they have a good gallery, or
That's a great question. You know, I think it's they have to have a little bit of business instinct. I think, but to go on with a great gallery. I mean, if you're with a Gagosian out of New York City,
he's going to manage.
he's going to make you make money.
He will,
Yeah,
because he needs to. And as you grow, he grows.
Right.
It's all about building that reputation.
right.
And he can. He can tell somebody you're worth X, and they'll say,
Fine.
okay.
Thank you. Right.
Right. Yeah.
But really, the art world, the gallery world as a whole, and I know I'm down here in New Orleans, away from the mainstream of art galleries, but there's no guarantees.
Right.
You can have a great show and do well, and then just kind of slide along.
Do you, I'm sure after this amount of time you have repeat collectors. Do you also do art fairs? Do you have to do that? I don't think I've ever seen you at one.
Well, that's a great. I helped found APAD.
Okay.
Yeah, back in 1978 in
Okay.
Rochester, New York. A group of us sat down and came up with it, and boom,
Wow.
it happened.
Yeah.
So I was with APAD for a long time, till about 2002 or 2010. I think I showed at APAD,
Okay.
and then I stopped for a couple of reasons. One, it was always the busiest time of year right here in New Orleans.
Yeah.
So I'd be up there for 3 or 4 or 5 days, but I could do just as much work and business here in New Orleans. So eventually I just stopped going.
Okay.
About 2010, I think I did.
I think the fairs are hard on galleries.
They're very hard. They take a lot of time. They take you almost a month to get ready.
Right.
And then you got to physically pack them, and you got to go up there for a week, and you got to come back and unpack them. And it really knocks a good month or more out of your whole year, maybe
Right.
2 months. But a lot of galleries, on the other hand, can't survive without art fairs because they're not in a retail location that gets a lot of visitors.
Oh, good
I've
point.
been very lucky to be in a good retail location in a city that brings a lot of great people from all over the world in, like yourself, that wouldn't normally come into a place like this.
True.
But if you come to New Orleans and you see this and boom, you come in.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people come in, they were very, very taken aback. They had no idea that this quality could be right here in New Orleans. But before they
Locals.
left, they bought something. So, yeah.
I was
it's-
shocked the first time
I
I
bet
walked
you
in. I
are.
couldn't believe. Every corner had somebody else that I had many of whom I'd never seen a print of before. So it was quite the experience.
I appreciate hearing that. It's true, though. It is very true.
Right.
I've often called this place the only museum in the world that's for sale.
Right. It's a great description. It's true. It is. It's like, for anybody listening, it is like walking into a small museum or a Phillips auction. You walk into a Phillips auction, it's stunning, right?
Yeah,
You get
right, yeah.
one of the best museums ever. And it does have that flavor, but also the flavor, not of the quarter. I mean, the building is, but really the flavor of the building and I think your attitude and all that come together.
Well, I love photography. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And because I make photography, I understand photography on many levels, not just. I mean, as most art dealers, it's only that object.
Right.
But I understand it also as a process of what that person went through to make it. Now, I don't like to talk about the mechanics of photography when someone comes in here.
Right.
I don't care what camera. They'll ask me what camera it's made with.
Right.
I won't answer it. I don't know. I'll just tell them I don't know. I probably do know
Right.
down to the detail, but no, I don't want to talk about that.
Right.
I want you to look at the piece of paper that it's on the wall, and how it is, and whether you're reacting to it,
Right.
and what's in it. What's in it? What does it do for you?
And that has to be first. I
It
think.
has to be.
Yeah.
It really should be.
Right.
Because I mean, when you go look at any art, you should be looking at it for what it is and whether it's hitting you somewhere and moving you to do
Right.
something about it. Here, you can actually say, "Well, I want to try to buy it."
No, it's a beautiful thing. We've had had that same conversation while we're here. You just can't help it. It's stunning. So, you have your own collection? I'm assuming over
No.
the years.
Nope, I don't. This
No?
is my collection.
Really?
Yeah, since I own virtually everything here, it's my collection. At my house, I have very few things other than my own work.
And what do you photograph?
People in the streets.
Really?
Spontaneous. Yeah. Fast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you wander the streets of New Orleans and
I have I've been to every state in this country except Alaska. And when I say I've been more than 3 days
right,
in every place.
right,
And in 1976, I took a whole year away from the gallery and traveled by train, a steam engine, a red, white, and blue steam engine that went through America called the American Freedom Train.
right.
And that's what I was on for a year and photographed. So,
Wow,
yeah,
that's incredible.
it was an incredible journey.
Have you ever looked for a gallery to show your work?
I've sold to a lot of museums. I've sold to a lot of individuals, and now since about 2010 or so is when I've really tried to focus on my own work a little more. That's
Okay.
why for the first time you see them in my gallery.
Okay.
You never used to see them here. You just never knew. I didn't want to cross that line. I didn't want to be one of those art dealers that had a gallery because I wanted to show my work.
Right. And particularly early on, there were a handful of people like that, and it really did undermine the credibility of the other work.
So I didn't want to do that. I stayed away from it. And I was able to keep quiet. I like being quiet about my own work.
It makes it easier to make, I'll be honest with you. It's a nice place to hide,
Yeah,
you know,
it is. In your
without
own
the
work.
pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's,
And I didn't have to worry about whether I sold it. So
Right.
that, I know that's a lot of pressure on a lot of people that are in photography.
It
They
is.
need to sell it. Now, I grew up with zero. I started this business on zero. It's built up over the years. And I could have used more money, but by not having to sell my own work right away, I was able to just take photographs.
yeah. I don't know, I think I was going to say, I think the pressure to sell gets in some people's heads, and they aren't able to make anymore. I had a young girl out of school, gave her a show. We sold an extraordinary amount of the work. She left the country for a year, came back. People are already asking what her next show was. The success was probably harder for her than not selling. She just couldn't make that next body of work.
Yeah.
Just couldn't. It's not
Sometimes
easy,
the attention just sets a person back.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a safe place to hide, no doubt.
Yes.
But a beautiful one.
I love
Meditative.
it. Yeah. I've always loved photography. I love being on both sides of it. And I'm one of the few people that has both a business brain and an art brain. I'm very blessed with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think is next in your gallery? What's the
Well,
next
the
step?
move,
Yeah.
that's going to be a big deal because there's 25 years, there's 51 years in this building. It's just 2 buildings,
Yeah.
3 stories tall with stuff in it. So once I get settled, I think by next year, it'll be interesting to see where I go.
Yeah.
Because right now I've got all the grades
Mm-hmm.
and I'll be looking for a few new photographers.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't know which direction it'll be.
Huh.
I really don't know till I see it.
That's
I mean,
nice.
fortunately, people still call me, still try to bring me stuff to see. And I'm always hoping that something's going to be so unusual, so special, and so different. Especially since I know the context of the history of photography so well, that I'm hoping that'll happen. And I'm hoping a new gallery will happen and we'll go forward. I'll be searching for it too.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think people understand gallerists are always looking for that. It's hard to find.
It is.
There's a lot of work out there, but not a lot of that.
No, they're not. And I don't know if I think there is still a lot of work out there, but it's not coming forward as much.
Mhm.
What's coming forward is everybody with their cell phones.
Right.
Just showing pictures on their cell phone.
Right.
It's amazing. It
Yeah.
really is amazing how many people try to show me work on their phone.
Yeah, it's absurd.
It's very absurd, but it's the truth.
Yeah. What do you think is the next for photography? Where's it going?
I'm laughing because that's just I don't know where it's going. It might. I don't know. I hope it's gonna have a little bit of a flashback
Yeah. me
into
too.
what we grew up on and what we felt was great photography, meaning somebody just shooting and making great images and caring about the printing. And I think that will happen. Now, how long it's going to take to jump back into some of that, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
This digital revolution, which we're now 25 years into,
Right.
is consuming the younger person so much
Right.
that I don't find as many young people under the age of 30 and 40 that are really doing what we're trying to talk about.
Right. And not just digital film. There are a lot of them are shooting film, but they're not doing that.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Now, I would like to think
They want it to be more immediate.
yeah, something. Now, I also know that I intimidate some people not to show me
Okay.
because, you know, they say, Gary, for fine photography, it's been around so long. He's got so many great people. I have photographers coming here that when they start warming up and talking to me a little bit, I can tell they've got some great photographs, but I never get to see them.
Interesting. And last couple questions. What personal trait do you think made you successful?
Perseverance and stamina. I mean, literally. And I did have a good eye. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
I mean, you could show me a stack of photographs and I'll tell you very quickly which ones are good
Yeah.
and which ones aren't.
Yeah.
And I think that's a unique ability, which I definitely probably inherited from my mother.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
My mother was born in Czechoslovakia, survived World War II, got into Britain, married my father, he was in the army, but he was from New Orleans, and that's how he wound up. That's how I was born here.
Okay. That's amazing. And how, what advice would you give a young image maker?
To really take photographs that are personal to you, to that person. Because the more intimate you make it, and the more about your own life it is, the better chance it has of being something to connect with the world. Me, you, museums, other people. If you just try to do what you think they're going to like, you'll never get there. You should be pursuing what you like, what you're attracted to. People ask me this a lot.
Yeah.
What attracts you? And I say, sometimes just walking around the street alone in solitude and become invisible, and then I start seeing stuff that I don't normally see. That's what I like.
Yeah.
I love traveling to a place I've never been before.
Oh, yeah, it's the best.
Yeah.
You're alive in every way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you
True.
walk down the streets and everything seems alive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way I like to be. And that's what I recommend to a young photographer, is to be as close to yourself and your own truth. And that's why it's a sense of self-discovery too.
And that resonates in the work. So I think I know your answer, but I've got to ask, the photo or the words, right? Lately I see a lot of words and photos that don't stack up. Personally, I would say that. Some photos hold up. Do the words help the photo? Do they make up for the photo? Or does it have to be on the wall?
Well, I'm like you. I think it's the photograph that matters. And you can write and talk about it all you want, but it's about that image and that moment that's recorded and how it's recorded and how it looks that makes me love it so much. So I think it's more about the photograph than words.
Yeah.
I think it's great to talk about, but sometimes talk ruins it.
Oh, definitely.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't remember the artist, but the quote was, "Sometimes silence is the best response."
yeah.
Truly.
Which is kind of Lee. I don't know if you've spent much time with Lee Friedlander,
Oh,
but
yeah.
Lee doesn't like to talk.
Really?
Not in public. He does privately, but not publicly. I remember the first time he came to my class at Rice University. He just put a photograph up on the wall. He didn't say a word. Went to the next photograph. After about 10 or 15, me or somebody in the class said, "Can't you say anything?" You know, it's like, no, I have nothing to say.
It's all here.
If you don't have anything to answer me, you know. I think he said a date or something on the photograph, the next one he put on the wall. But yeah, no, he wants you to talk about it. He wants to see how you react to it, which that taught me a lot.
Yeah.
He taught me a lot.
Because you can't. A lot of young image makers, a lot of image makers in general, want to control what the response is, and that's impossible.
That's impossible.
Yeah.
And also, a young image maker that's talking about it all the time probably is not making an image.
Probably not the ones they should, right? Well, thank you for this. It's been amazing. I could go
Thank
on
you.
for hours.
Me too. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Maybe we'll do it again in your new space.
Yes.